If you are a woman living her best hot mess express life while simultaneously crushing it, and you're craving more clarity, purpose, and excellence, get ready because you're in the right spot. I am your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, and I want to welcome you to Season 2 of All Things Excellence, the podcast, where I'll be bringing you all the inspiration and insights your excellence-seeking heart desires. This season, I'm stepping back into chasing big, bold, and absolutely terrifying goals, sharing every honest step and misstep along the way. We're continuing our beloved Unscripted series, featuring live clarity coaching sessions with guests just like you, and diving deep into raw behind-the-scenes stories of powerhouse women founders I am wildly obsessed with, whose journeys will fuel your own. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam, welcome back. And today we're talking about this new trend hitting all the social media channels called the Great Lock-In of 2025. Not to trigger y'all back to like COVID or anything. It's not like we're doing that. We're not going to not be able to leave our house for a couple months. It's actually quite the opposite of that exact thing. So I don't know if you've heard about it, but you can go to TikTok and a little bit of Instagram. You can start finding traces of this called the Great Lock-In of 2025. So what it is, it's this push to achieve your goals now instead of waiting until January. So think about it like a back to school reboot, a reset, a sprint towards the new year. It's very time bound, very doable, creating a sense of urgency. It is all about putting your head down from September 1st to December 31st and going after every single thing that you want. So not necessarily like insane, radical life-changing, altering things, but really this deep, intentional focus. Think blinders on, 120 days to clarity, confidence, getting to celebrate at the end of December. Not like 75 hard where there's 8,000 things that you've got to do every day with this giant checklist, because you're looking ahead going, it's fall, it's the holidays, it's all that stuff. So it's more of like your gentle, doable structure that's not going to create burnout. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about allowing yourself to throw off all that has not happened and not waiting until January to pick up some new goals. Because I think we can all get really honest that we're at this place where, I don't know about y'all, but I woke up September 1st and went, I'm sorry, what? Like I don't even know where February went, let alone where summer went. I do remember April like it was last week. And then all of a sudden we got into just that tornado spiral of summer where it was like, for me, it was like the end of April, and then May, I knew my family was coming for 10 days, and then I had a couple weeks to work, and then we went and saw my family for like an entire week, and then I had to, like we had to get the 4th of July, and then I had a conference, and then it was August, and we had back to school, and all of a sudden, here we are, we're on the other side of Labor Day going, oh my gosh, the year is almost over. Holidays around the corner. I don't know about y'all, but my husband is already putting out Halloween and fall decor. Like we're all ready for the leaves to change. We're ready to snuggle in, drink our pumpkin spice latte, curl up under our blankets on our couch, and just watch some Netflix with winter coming. But also at the end of the day, we glance back and we go, what were those goals that I had at the beginning of 2025? And are they even remotely achievable? And for some of y'all, maybe you're on track, or maybe you can grab them and you can refocus. But for most people, it's just not like that. And so today I want to talk to you guys about this Great Lock-In. I want to talk to you about the Great Lock-In movement, why I love it, why I'm obsessed with it, how we are creating our own community and our own level of accountability inside the All Things Excellence fam, inside of our book club collective. It's more of y'all, like the book club is really more of like this $17 a month growth collective with community, a little bit of accountability, however you want it to look like, when it works and it's good for you. But also this touch point, because I feel like I've the more I work with women to help them move into alignment, like moving into doing things that light them up and the way that they light them up, it seems like I'm finding more and more women that keep saying, I've never felt more aligned, but also more alone, because they're trying to find those people who think like they think and are working like they're working and being focused in the way that they're being focused. And so it's creating a little bit of a struggle bus with that. And so that's where I came in with the All Things Excellence book club, is really creating this growth collective, bringing like-minded women who want more out of their life, but don't have a lot of time to be able to put into it. Like maybe you're not ready for a huge coaching program. You can't really be committed to something crazy and over the top like a mastermind, but you do want this little touch point where you feel like you belong to something that reminds you that you want more out of this life. And so that foundation of that community, y'all, I cannot even believe that I created that community a couple weeks ago. And now here we are bringing in this huge whole like great lock-in movement of 2025 that of course started over on TikTok, and we're bringing it here to the rest of the world. So what this looks like, let's talk about what this looks like. You're going to pick 2 to 3 areas, and you're going to add very simple metrics. You're going to put your head down, your blinders on, you're going to get some tunnel vision, and you're going to choose to allow yourself to be great. Because here's what we know. Our nervous system starts flaring up, creating self-sabotage, and we look at what we've done in the past, and our body says, oh my gosh, the last time I stepped out, the last time I did this, the last time I created a checklist for myself, maybe you experienced burnout, maybe you experienced failure, maybe you experienced people being highly critical of you. We had a situation this weekend where I don't like when people get really critical of other people in my life. Like I've got some stuff up in my nervous system that when my husband's friends get critical, I get really protective because I would never want to stand in between him and his friends. Well, someone who belonged to like a previous friend group, like those childhood crabs in our life. Have you guys ever heard about the crabs in the bucket? Where like if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, they will literally pull each other down from crawling out of the bucket before they will allow other crabs to climb out of the bucket and maybe even help each other climb out of the bucket. And that's kind of, like that's a little bit of where he's from. He's from like a really small town, and there's a lot of great people there, but there's also a lot of crabs there. And there was a crab this weekend that made a comment on my social media, on a reel of Kobe and I. They made a comment. It was a negative comment. I'll just tell you, like he literally said, I've never been more embarrassed in my entire life for Kobe. And the comment was made on the reel where I talk about how one of the hardest things that we've had to work through in our life is Kobe standing up for himself, having an opinion for himself, and people thinking that it's me not allowing him to do things or attend things or making him be different or change, when in reality, all I did was be the very best wife, the biggest cheerleader to him stepping into his greatness. And in stepping into his greatness, he's also released a lot of people along the way. But when that comment came, there was this moment where I wanted to shut down. I wanted to play small. I wanted to back off, and I wanted to go, why am I doing this? I knew that people were going to be assholes. I knew that people were going to make comments, but if people are going to come for you, like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I don't want to stand in your way of friendships. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to feel upset. I don't want you to feel angry. Of course, y'all, Kobe's like the greatest husband in the entire world. And he was like, he's literally an idiot. Like, he's mad. He hates his life. Like, he's divorced. His wife had an affair on him like a zillion times. And he's just making that comment on our anniversary reel because it's probably triggering him and upsetting him. And he comforted me in that. But you guys, there was that small moment where my, subconscious mind went, why are we doing this? Warning, warning, warning. It is not safe. It's not safe to step up and to step out and to put ourselves out there. And my husband said there are so many people in this world, including this group of friends that he used to have growing up, that when someone tries to do something different and unconventional in their life, they love to gather together and make comments in this little group text and tear those people down. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And he goes, "Yes. And that's why I'm no longer a part of that group." It wasn't something that, it wasn't me. I didn't tell him, "You shouldn't be a part of those people." It was him. He made this decision that he looked at them going, all they want to do is tear other people down and make weird comments when other people try and step up, do something unconventional, and create a new life for themselves. And they just want to be critical. They just want to be crabs. So you guys, you have to choose to allow yourself to be great. You might even think about this and you might go, "Ooh, I want to get started on this." And you make the list, you do the worksheet, you do the steps I'm about to talk to you about. But then things start creeping up. People start making comments. Little things start happening. And your brain goes, "It's not safe to step up. It's not safe to succeed. Every time I try, I always fail." People start making comments like, "Oh, you're doing that thing again." I have a client that she's tried a million hats. She's been on here before. And the thing that I love most about her circle is that when she tried that 27th thing and we showed up for her to launch her Savor Society Mastermind, those people didn't show up going, "Oh my gosh, here she is doing another thing." They showed up and said, "We just know one day she's going to get to the right thing." And those are the people that you want in your corner. And you may have them in your corner already, or you may have to find a new corner. So within this, choosing to allow yourself to be great and honoring your own energetic flow, we got to make sure that you're going after this and picking things that are good for who you are, your design, your strengths, your personality, and fitting that. I wanted to give you guys a couple lock-in stories. So when I saw the great lock-in, which is really put your head down, focus, and go after it with wild abandon, with whatever it is that you want. Make a decision that between today and the end of 2025, you're not just going to kind of check the boxes. You're not just going to kind of get through, drink your pumpkin spice latte, wear your flannel, and go take pictures with the fall leaves. But you're going to look back and go, what did I want to do in 2025? And what's still possible? And what if I do accomplish between now and the end of 2025? I will be so freaking proud of myself. So when I saw that, and I had to think about what are my own lock-in stories that I already have, because sometimes we have to look at that. We have to look back and we have to look, when are other times in my life that I have zoned in, kicked butt, put the blinders on, and made things happen? Because then I remembered back in 2017 when I realized that I was having some thyroid issues. For the first time in my life, I realized I'd been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So had my mom and my grandma. And I made this decision. It was actually like a total God fluke. I'm so grateful, so thankful to God. The day that I figured out I was diagnosed, that night I had a work call with a random person I'd never met. She was interested in the opportunity for the direct sales company that I was working with. And we're talking on the phone and she had a lot of questions about ingredients. And she said, because of my recent health diagnosis. And I was like, "What are you even talking about?" And she said, "Well, I was recently diagnosed with Hashimoto's." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I was diagnosed with it today. Would you tell me about your journey? Would you tell me about what you're doing and what you've changed?" And she told me how she made a decision that she didn't want to get on medication because once you start, you can never stop. Or it was like your heart was going to stop or something crazy like that. And I said, "Oh, wait, I'm sorry, what?" I am not going to choose to get on medication for the rest of my life. That will not be my life. And I said, "You found a way to be able to navigate this without getting on thyroid medication?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And she told me the choices that she made, which basically, y'all, it was basically she made this decision to eat very Whole 30. Now, what you should know, this was about May. And between February and May, my hair had started falling out in chunks. I'd randomly put on 20 pounds. I was experiencing extreme anxiety and depression. And it was just, I felt very out of my own body. So the diagnosis that Hashimoto's had really exploded in my body it kind of felt like a godsend. So then for her to come along and say there was a more natural way to go about this without getting on some sort of medication for the rest of my life, I was willing to do whatever it took. And so for 120 days, it actually started with 2 weeks. I'll admit, y'all, we decided 2 weeks. Like, let's try this for 2 weeks. We decided to eat Whole30 in our house. And what started as this thyroid adrenal restoration thing that we were committed to, my husband and I were committed to together for 2 weeks, turned into 120 days where we ate like that. We reset the way that we viewed food in our home. We were living in Dallas at the time, where all you do, you like live to go out for appetizers and drinks in Dallas. But we made this decision that we were going to be different. And so within that, putting our head down for 120 days, we did that, and we saved my health. There was another time a few years ago, I can tell you, it was October. It was about right now, honestly, where it started, but it was in the fall of 2020, where gyms had been closed for a long time here in Arizona because of the pandemic. And I made this decision that for 30 days, 31 days straight, every single day of October, and I had travel built in there, but no matter what, every day in the month of October, I was going to run 3 miles a day. I was going to roll out of bed at 6 a.m. and I was going to go for a 3-mile run. And you guys, I did that, and I reclaimed my fitness. I look back at that. You can look in photos. And when I started that goal, I looked inflamed and swollen and unhealthy and unhappy and sad, y'all. My energy was so droopy. And then you look at photos by the end of that time, and I looked phenomenal, y'all. I had to do the same thing once a couple years ago when I went on a parasite cleanse. Like, I didn't touch. That's when I really figured out that I was allergic to gluten and have kind of a dairy intolerance. And so for 120 days, again, I did not touch dairy and gluten, and it radically changed my life. It reset my body. So there's been so many times where I have like put my head down and I've locked in, knowing this goal that I was going after, knowing this vision I was going after of who I wanted to be and how I wanted my body to feel, right? I wanted to be able to have that superhuman energy. And then another time in my career, this was actually a long time ago. It was in the fall of 2010. So it was probably a week ago, 15 years ago, because I know it was the very end of August. And I remember where I was sitting in my house, my tiny little house that I bought back in Iowa. I say tiny little house, it was like 5 bedrooms, whatever. I bought this house back in Iowa and I was 25 years old. And I remember where I was sitting in the middle of the floor of my living room, original hardwood floors. I was sitting in front of my couch, this giant sectional. It was the middle of the day. I know it was a Thursday. And I called my mom and I said, I just can't do it anymore. I had been trying for about 18 months to move into this next position within my direct sales career, to move into this leadership position that would just quadruple my income and allow me to release a lot of side gigs that I was working at the moment to be able to pay for my life, because I had already left my corporate career, which we all know, like I got fired, right? I'd already gotten fired from a job. And this is what I was doing. And I was really struggling with that. But what I can tell you all now, looking back, my biggest struggle was that I would get really committed for 30 to 45 days, but I would never really put my head down in this window of 3 to 6 months and do wildly consistent activity for more than 30 to 45 days. And then I would do really well for a month or two, and then I would let it go. And it really honestly had a lot to do with my social life and my dating life. And so I said to my mom, I just don't think I can do this anymore. And my mom is very loving and very, she's a mom, she is not like me. She's all things like blonde hair and kind and comforting. And I'm like, the opposite of that. But in this moment, she yelled at me and she told me to get my butt up off the floor and get out that front door and go meet 5 new friends that day. And that basically I was done playing small. And you guys, from that moment, I made a commitment to her, but mostly I made a commitment to myself that for the next 5 months straight, I would do what we called within this company, it's called a power start, where I would share this product and share that opportunity with 30 new women month in, month out, no matter what. I'd done it before for 2 or 3 months, but I'd never done that like 5 to 6 months. And it was when I put my head down and I did that very consistent activity while believing in the results. Okay. I did the activity and I believed in the results. I did it for 5 to 6 months straight. That's when I really made that huge promotion in that career. I had earned a lot of all of the things that you get to earn in that career that are very coveted things that a lot of people want. But really what I did, y'all, it was the power of increased intentions with blinders on. And the power of increased intention with blinders on is that it creates a lifetime of dividends. Those 6 months of focus that I put in 15 years ago, y'all, I am literally, when I say literally, I mean literally still being paid on that activity today. There is still residual income that I'm receiving every single month because of the work that I did in that 6 month window. When I put my head down, I said no more dating until I get this done. That was even when Kobe and I were just starting to hang out, and I looked at him and I said, we can be friends. You can come over to my house after 10 p.m. at night, but you've got to leave by midnight. I put strict boundaries around it. I told him my goal. I told him why it was important. I enrolled him in the vision. He understood it wasn't about that I didn't like him, but it was that I needed to really step into this greatness. I needed to move into this position. I explained to him what it was going to do for my life, and he is a smart guy. And in that moment, even though we were not officially dating, he knew that not only was that going to be greatness for my life, but he knew that it was going to be greatness for his life. So he was very on board, and he honored all of those boundaries that I created. But y'all, that's another thing I've heard so many times recently, that the greatest business decision you will ever make is your spouse. And if you guys listen to what I just said about my own lock-in stories, every single time I've made that great lock-in decision where I lock it in, I pick my goals, I know what I want, I put metrics behind it, I share my vision and my boundaries and my metrics. Metrics are those things, like the things that you got to do on a daily basis to get to where you want to go. I share it with the people that matter most. And when you surround yourself with the right people, they will come alongside you and they will support you in that. Never ever has there ever been a day where I have put my head down, locked it in, and Kobe has been like, I'm not supporting you. I'm not alongside you for that. He's always been my absolute greatest cheerleader in all of those things. So now I want to talk to y'all about how in the world do you set yourself up for this great lock-in success? And I'm sure there's a lot of ways out there on the internet that are circling on TikTok and Instagram about how you can do this. But y'all, we're going to talk to you about this through the lens of our All Things Excellence framework, okay? How do you set yourself up for great lock-in success? And first of all, we're going to start with your 8 areas of alignment. The 8 areas of alignment. If you want to go really, really deep on the 8 areas of alignment, we've got previous episodes way back in the beginning. It's like there's something in the first 5 episodes where it's like setting your new year up. You can go back and you can listen to that episode on this podcast. But basically, we start with the 8 areas of alignment. And I want you to pick 1 to 3 of these areas that you are determined to make different between now and the end of the year. So I'm gonna list these 8 areas. I'm gonna explain them a little bit, and I want you to pick 1 to 3 of them that you're just like, how this area is right now, it literally cannot be like this January 1st. I am done. Line in the sand, enough is enough. I am making the decision to make a change. So the first one is Selah. And Selah is your heaven on earth. So Selah for me, y'all, is like taking time to go on adventures. It's sitting on my back patio. Like if my life right now was set up in this schedule where I was not getting that morning time where I'm sitting on my patio, drinking my cup of hot coffee, journaling, reading my devotional. If I did not have the framework for that right now, I would pick that because that daily 20 minutes of heaven on earth where I just get to sit in stillness with myself and for me with God. And we just get to go, where is my best self showing up today? And how am I showing up today? Y'all, my whole world hangs on me being able to do that every single morning. So that's Selah. Second is spiritual. So whatever spiritual means to you? Maybe you have like a certain spiritual practice that's important to you. Maybe it looks like reading a devotional, becoming a part. Maybe you just want to like increase your closeness with God. Like you feel distant and you're like, I've just got to get back to that. Like I've got to get reconnected in my relationship with God again, or whatever that looks like for you. And so metrics in that could be, like you want to join a Bible study, or you want to read your devotions every single day, or you want to read the Bible every single day. Maybe life has gotten in the way. You haven't been going to church and you want to start going to church every single weekend. The third area of alignment is physical. I mean, seriously, y'all, like, do I need to explain that? Physical. Like right now you're like, I cannot keep on keeping on with the way that I physically am right now for one more moment. The fourth is emotional. Maybe you feel emotionally all over the place. Like maybe you're experiencing a little bit of sadness, or you're just not happy, or you're feeling disconnected from your friends, you're feeling alone, whatever that is. Like maybe it's your emotional life that you need to work on. I know for mine, like emotionally, I have on mine that my metrics are about my brain spotting therapist, who is going to be on this podcast here in a few weeks, giving myself a monthly and a quarterly retreat, having ongoing appointments with my muscle testing specialist, where I'm really just checking in with my physical body, going, what's going on? Am I having anything where my nervous system is flaring up? Like right now, I've got some new stories that have been really popping up. They're old stories, but I need to work through them. And so, emotionally, I've been creating some appointments with Rochelle to brain spot through them, which we're going to record one here soon. Y'all will hear a live brain spotting appointment that I go through. I'm going to take you on that journey. Vulnerability hangover coming up. And so maybe it's that, like maybe you need to do some emotional work. The fifth area of alignment is family. Maybe you're feeling disconnected from your family, or you haven't seen your family in a long time, and you want to create more intention with you and your family between now and the end of the year. Or maybe it's you and your spouse. Maybe you're feeling really disconnected with your spouse, and you're like, literally, if we keep going the way that we're going between now and the end of December, like I don't know what the new year is going to look like for us. And honestly, I'm kind of scared what it might look like for us. Like maybe you're feeling that right now with maybe your spouse or your kids. And so that wants to be your goal. The next one is career or calling. You're just dissatisfied, or you're feeling stagnant, or like blah, or maybe you're feeling excited and you want to pick career calling as one of your areas of alignment that you want to work on, because you want to dig in, and you don't just want to finish the year as good. You want to finish the year as great or above and beyond excellent. So maybe that's the area of alignment. The last two areas of alignment, the one is friends. Maybe it's friends that you want to work on. And then the last one is financial. So pick 1 to 3 areas. Y'all know I'm an overachiever. So I did pick 3 areas, but I will tell you, two of them are kind of wrapped up together. So one of the areas that I picked is physical. And the reason that I picked physical is because really recently, how I work out has changed drastically. There was a huge change at my Pilates studio. And so making this huge change has really created a giant upset in what kind of workouts I'm doing and when I'm doing them and who I'm doing them with. And so I've shifted to going to Pilates and doing 2 classes back to back on Friday, but then I'm working out all by myself in my house, in my home gym, Monday through Thursday. And I've been doing really great so far, even through, having some lung stuff come up from the monsoons we've been having here lately. But I want to keep the focus of this through the fall, because I know if I just set career goals and I'm like dog with a bone, head down, locked in, going after these career goals, I know that my physical can kind of waver, but I also know my best self knows that the key for me to achieving my career and my calling goals always start with physical. Like me being my best spiritual, emotional, zoned in self and achieving the most in my career always starts with my physical and getting that locked in. And so, my thing that I'm doing is my physical that I'm working out 5 days a week. I want to feel superhuman again. I know that my energy will be up. I know that I'll be sleeping better. And so what I did for that was I went into ChatGPT and just put in my metrics, hey, I'm like a 40-year-old woman. This is the stuff that I have in my house that I can work out with. This is what I'm willing to do. I'm also going to Pilates on Friday, and these are the Pilates type workouts that I'm doing. Being my age, my height, my weight, can you tell me what would be a great 20-minute lifting workout Monday through Thursday, and then also just 10 minutes of movement. And so it shot out a really great workout for me. So Monday through Thursday, I lift for 20 minutes based on what ChatGPT told me. I get in 10 minutes of movement. I might walk on my treadmill. I might walk outside. I might run outside. I might get on our Peloton, one of those things. And then we have a little pop-up sauna. We have a Therasage pop-up sauna. It's so freaking awesome, y'all. It is like the best, lowest EMF pop-up sauna that you can get. It literally just plugs into the wall, takes up no room in the corner of our living room. You can put it in the corner of a guest room. You can put it in the corner of your bedroom. And then I jump in there for 20 minutes to get a really good sweat and detox to also continue working on keeping my inflammation down. And then I created a little tracking sheet where on a daily basis, it literally says LMS, and I put checks next to it, like L for lift, M for movement, and S for sauna. And, Monday through Thursday, I'm checking that box off, and then obviously checking the box that I'm getting my Pilates in on Friday, because if I don't get my Pilates in on Friday, then I'm, going to substitute and do something else. So that's one of my goals, is tracking that. And then my two other great lock-in goals are career/calling and financial, which really come hand in hand. Because the more that I'm exploding my career and calling, the more my finances will be exploding. The rate at which our financial health is directly connected to me being physically zoned in, getting my workouts in, feeling mentally and emotionally stable, which causes me to excel more in my career, is insane. And I know it's this way for a lot of people, but when you are an entrepreneur, this is no funny freaking business. Now, my goal with financial is purely, Kobe's been back in college for the last 5 years, and there's been some debt that we have accrued with that, just being lazy. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, we've been lazy, and there was a couple years where we went through some really hard stuff where we were, spending money to make ourselves feel good because we went through a really tough time. We weren't being as crazy. We weren't being as strict with the budget. We were just kind of buying whatever. When groceries started to explode because we're really health focused, I was like, screw it. I don't care. We're going to spend whatever we spend on groceries. We got to do whatever we got to do. We are really restoring our bodies because they'd gotten really out of whack just with the situation that we were in, that we talked about on the last podcast episode. And so because we were doing that, we threw a lot of our budgeting and our financial boundaries, we threw a lot of them out the window, And so now we've got some stuff to show for that, which is not good. So between now and the end of the year, I've got some serious debt and savings goals. And the metrics behind that are really just tracking. We're just going to be better and more serious with budgeting. I re-implemented what I call Money Monday. Y'all, I block an hour every single Monday out. It is scheduled. It is literally scheduled on my calendar. It's called Money Monday. And I sit down with our finances every single Monday for an hour. Now, it's an hour because not only am I touching base on where we're at with everything in our house, I'm also touching base with everything that I'm at with my businesses, making sure, have I invoiced everybody? Have people paid their invoices for my direct sales business, and then also for my coaching business, and, working with my assistant to make sure that people are doing that and getting invoices out. And so, that I do that every single Monday during Money Monday. But we're also really kind of dialing back on what we need versus what we want, because we have this short-term focus. Now, within that, you need to know we are both very fun and adventure people. And if we told ourselves for the next 4 months we were not allowed to buy anything fun, that would last a day, and then we would be like, this is so stupid. So we did set a boundary with that, and we picked an amount of money that automatically so Kobe gets paid every 2 weeks, and so that's a great place because I have money coming in all the time. So I like pay myself specific times. But we're really taking this fun allowance money out of his paycheck because it's fixed. It's the same amount every time. And so every 2 weeks, we both pull money the moment his paycheck comes, and we get to put that in our fun money allowance fund. Kobe literally puts it in his Venmo account because that's just really great and easy for him. And so even though we are in this head down, zone in, locked in time where we're working on, getting rid of the debt and increasing our savings, focusing on just buying what we need versus what we want, we have created this space where we do have this fun allowance money to buy the ridiculous things. And y'all, it is little things like, normally every fall we kind of do a huge ridiculous Fabletics haul. And this year I'm like, okay, do we really need to do that? We usually do it twice a year in the fall and then, kind of like January, February. And I'm like, do we really need to do that? Like, let's look at our closets. Like, let's not be ridiculous. This is so stupid. We have so many clothes. And we both kind of looked at each other and went, okay, we don't need to do a giant fall Fabletics haul that we normally do. Like that really is something that we need. We honestly do not want it. That we want. We do not need it. We want it. We do not need it. But there were tiny little things where I was like, oh, actually, like I need to buy a bunch of new socks. Silly little things like that. And so those are needs, right? Like little things like that. But we're just trying not to be crazy, right? Like I'm probably not going to buy any new Golden Goose tennis shoes between now and the end of the year, unless I assign them to a crazy goal that I want. And then the third area of alignment that I've picked to really lock in during the Great Alignment is my career calling. I put very, very, very simple goals on this. The first one is getting our book club membership to 100 people. I want 100 people to be in our book club. And remember, guys, this is a book club where you don't even have to read the book. You can read the book if you want to, but you don't have to read the book. You can just listen to my audio recap of the book every single month, but you can also be a part of the community. There's a community in there where you can use it for networking, connecting with other like-minded women, growing your own business. And that's because my greatest sweet spot in life is curating circles for aligned women to rise. And so I want to get that membership to 100 women. And that's because when there's 100 women in there, I know what that feels like. I have grown a direct sales career to having hundreds of people on my team. So I know what a movement feels like when you bring hundreds of like-minded women together who are there for the sake of each other, helping each other grow to be the best versions of themselves. And that's exactly what I want to create in this book club growth community that we're creating. And so with the goal of growing the book club to 100 members between now and the end of the year, I've made it really simple. I've committed to creating one reel a week and getting on TikTok about it. And that is it. I'm going to get on TikTok. We're going to start putting all of my little shorts and my reels that we're already putting on Instagram and YouTube. We're going to start putting them on TikTok because I think TikTok is a great place for this to grow. And I'm going to start making one Jackie Richards style reel a week where it's focused on really bringing an audience to our book club and growing that book club community over there. The second goal within the career calling is within my direct sales. I've recently become really obsessed with the passive income of it. There was a day where I was sitting and I was working on some coaching stuff and podcast stuff, and within a 45-minute period, I had a couple text messages and an email where I sold $640. And just so you guys know, in that lane, when you sell $640, the profit is 50%. So within 45 minutes, 2 text messages and an email, which then took me 10 minutes to take care of, I profited $320 essentially. And within that, there was something that happened to me that made me go, that's just ridiculous. Because the activity that created those orders happened over 10 years ago. And I knew that. I went, these people have been reordering products that they love from me for the last decade. And work that I did a decade ago just paid me $320 with 10 minutes of work. That's a damn good return, y'all. I took economics in college. I went to college for marketing and finance. And that's a damn good return on your time, okay? ROI, return on investment. The invested time that I made a decade ago, the return is really freaking good. And within that, I realized there are so many women out there that they don't have a lot of time, but they have a little bit of time that they can invest here and there. And then they have those 10-minute windows where they can have that residual income coming through, where they do the upkeep of it, of clicking, like maybe they have to process the order through, but there's also a setting where you don't even have to do that. And people can just keep ordering from you and you don't even have anything to do with it, you know? And so it made me really weirdly re-obsessed with the fact that I just know in this current economy, in this current life, that there are women out there that are praying for something like this. And so it made me personally committed to helping 24 new women create extra income through that opportunity between now and the end of December, and being able to customize very specifically what that looks like for them. And so the metric of that is I've committed to sending sample packets of the skincare to 30 new women a month. So simple. That's it. Just sending and sharing packets of samples to 30 new women every single month. That's the simple metric. So if you guys break that down to being really simple with my great lock-in assignment, I picked 3 areas of alignment. So the areas of alignment again are Selah, the heaven on earth, spiritual, physical, emotional, family, career, calling, friends, or financial. And within those 8 areas, I picked financial, where all I'm going to do is Money Monday. I'm just going to track better, and we're going to have a little bit of boundaries on our spending. I picked physical, where I'm going to work out 5 days a week, and I had ChatGPT shoot me out a workout so I can lift 20 minutes a day and get 10 minutes of movement in and sit in my sauna for 20 minutes. And in my career calling, I'm going to grow our book club membership to 100 people by committing to posting 1 reel a week and getting on TikTok. And in my direct sales company, I'm going to help 24 new women give that opportunity a try to bring some extra money into their family by sending out samples to 30 new people a month. 30 new women a month trying the samples for that. That's it, y'all. That's all I'm doing. I'm following those really simple metrics. And I just know that putting my head down and locking in on those things are going to create incredible results. So 1, you start with the 8 areas of alignment. Pick 1 to 3 of those areas. 2, you've got to add, 2, pick the areas. So 1, look at the areas of alignment. 2, pick the 1 to 3 areas that are good for you. 3, add metrics, things that are going to stretch you, but don't get crazy, because we've got to be careful that we don't over create these goals that make room for us to take ourselves off the hook. A lot of times we tend to set goals that are so freaking big that when we don't achieve them, it's okay, and we can make excuses really easily. It's easy to validate to ourselves why we didn't get those goals done. So make them stretch goals, but also achievable. Number 4, get community and accountability. Maybe y'all want to join our book club community through the All Things Excellence fam. Maybe you want to join that with us. Go to chelseadbc.com. Click on book club, or chelseadbc.com/book club. Go there, $17 a month. We're going to have accountability in there. We're going to have community in there where we're focused on the great lock-in. We're sharing our great lock-in goals with each other. Maybe you want to be a part of our community, or maybe you just want to call your best friend. Maybe you're going to send this episode to your best friend and go, girl, I need you to listen to that. Let's pick great lock-in goals for this year. Let's do something that we've never done. Let's put our head down. Let's put some blinders on. Let's become the best version of ourselves. But step 5 is I need you to give grace. I need you to have awareness, and I need you to commit to growth. I need you to give yourself grace, because you're going to mess up and you're going to miss a day. It's happening. I'm telling you right now. So give yourself grace for when it happens. I need you to have awareness for what this brings up. You're going to get started on this journey, and there's going to be some stuff that starts to bubble up. When you set these new goals, when you make a decision to be who you've never been, definitely things are going to pop up. They're going to make you want to sabotage and not go after this life that you want. They're going to make you want to step outside of your blinders, take your blinders off, lock, unlock. You're not going to be locked in anymore. And you're going to allow yourself to indulge in all of your excuses. And the third thing is that you need to commit to growth, because that awareness, things are going to pop up. And there's going to be things that you've got to grow through. You've got to commit to doing things that you've never done, to being the person that you've never been. And within that, y'all, I want to read a little excerpt from a book that I'm super obsessed with. It's called The Weekenders Club by Emily Judas, and she works with nervous system work. She is a nervous system coach. And in this book, so I'll read you guys this little piece. And it's a book, the story that she tells is a story of two sisters that she roomed with in college. In the second semester of my sophomore year of college, I moved into a 3-bedroom townhouse near campus with two of my sorority sisters. They actually were real sisters in life, not just in the sorority, and they were 13 months apart. Same parents, same school growing up, same upbringing, both heavily involved in dancing as children. Both gifted, always getting leading roles. They were both smart, they both excelled in school, they were in leadership positions in their sorority, and they were so similar in many ways. They were what I would consider high achievers. After college, they were both in my wedding, and since we graduated, I've kept really close with them. It's been really interesting to learn how differently, though, their lives have turned out. The older sister graduated with $30,000 in student loan debt, and she took a job making $38,000 a year. She got married right out of college, had 2 kids, gained 20 pounds, and is generally pretty lukewarm about her life. She and her husband have their kids in a lot of activities, and she loves to complain and remind me about how busy it keeps her daily. They're not really the planning type. They go to the grocery store nightly to pick up food for dinner or order takeout, and she has a running list of all of her shows and a note on her phone with premiere dates to keep them organized. They stay up late binging every show on Netflix, and she has stressful mornings as a result of this. Her priorities are always mixed up. She rushes her kids to school after feeding them cinnamon rolls or cereal in the morning, yelling at them because she's unprepared and groggy because she didn't sleep well. She doesn't have time to exercise because she works a full-time office job, and she's so tired after work that honestly she knows the workout will never happen. She spends her weekends focused on where she can have the most delicious meal and what cocktails she can indulge in after a long week. She hates shopping because nothing feels flattering. And she's always looking for baggy tops to disguise her muffin top. She honestly never even really gets dressed for the day. She looks for approval in everyone around her, caring tremendously about what other people think. She's not content, she's complacent. I can tell when I talk to her she's tired, but I can also tell she thinks that this is all life has to offer. She's glued to her phone and addicted to her social media app. Money always feels tight, and she feels overwhelmed and disorganized in her life. She's always overspending what she makes, and she's racked up a lot of credit card debt within her first few years of marriage. She has dreams of the day that she can make 6 figures in a year and provide the life she really wants for her family. But at the rate of her current job, she feels she will have to work for 20 years to have that possibility. So that's sister 1. The younger sister also graduated with $30,000 in student loan debt. She got married within a year of graduating college, and she has 4 kids. She started building a business on the side of her full-time job 5 years out of college, which grew to 6 figures and then multiple 6 figures. She paid off her $30,000 in student loans in under 2 years once she set her mind to it. And now she has 0 credit card debt. She's super active and fit. She works out to be strong and energized for her children, and she eats healthy. Health is a huge part of her identity. She knows her strengths and her weaknesses, but most importantly, she uses both of them to her advantage. She's ambitious, driven, she's a high achiever. She has standards for everything. She gets dressed and always makes an effort to be put together because she knows that the way she appears on the outside is a direct reflection of how she feels about herself on the inside. She places importance on the right things, leaves her phone in the other room when she needs to be present with her family without ever worrying she's missing something. She's genuinely happy and energized in life. She travels when she wants, and she takes time off from work when she wants. She has created a life she loves and is very proud to live. She really just has something special going for her. She's that girl. You know what I mean? I often think about these 2 friends of mine. I think about how interesting it is that their life turned out so differently, even though their circumstances were really similar. You know, same house, same parents, same schooling. I think about how they took different paths. And why is that? I think about how I could have ended up just like either one of them. As a matter of fact, I did. You see, the part of the story I left out is that the reason I lived with both of them in college, and the reason I talk to them both often, and I think about them both often, is because they both are me. I was the overwhelmed mom of 2 with debt, making $38,000 a year, not taking care of herself. But I'm also the mom of 4 who brought home $500,000 this year in her business without working 80 hours a week and has figured out a lot of stuff. I am the woman who lives her days with zest and intentionality, the woman who lives in her authenticity, who worries a lot less about what other people are thinking of her and really feels the joy in the everyday moments. I am driven. I am ambitious, and I am that girl. Yo, that's just like how the book kicks off. You can read that part of the book in samples. You can go to Amazon. You can search for the Weekenders Club book. You can read that again. When I read that sample, honestly, I was hunting for books for our book club community, and I ran across that and I read the sample of it, and I sat on my patio and I cried. And the reason that I sat on my patio and cried, this happened like 10 days ago, was because I felt myself be both of those women before, where I did grow up, kicking all the butt and taking all the names, but I've also watched myself be in seasons of life where I indulged in everything and I wasn't proud of myself and I wasn't being the person that I wanted myself to be, right? That I hoped that I would be, that I'd strive that I would be, that the girl that was like on my vision board that I'd created. And so y'all, with this great lock-in, I am challenging you to be that girl. And maybe you're sitting here going, Chelsea, I literally cannot add one more thing to my plate. And what I say to that is I'm begging you to book a 30-minute clarity call in with me, because I know that in 30 minutes, I can help you find a way to work in even just one tiny little goal. Rabbi Daniel Lapin, in his book called Business Secrets from the Bible, says, change is the root of all fulfillment. The feeling of stagnation is one of the worst feelings a human can feel. It is not enough to tread water and stand still. You have to constantly grow and change to feel happy and healthy. Growth produces human happiness, but growth never comes without pain. Growth requires us to do things which we're unaccustomed to, and it hurts because it's difficult. Growth is difficult, but when achieved, the result is happiness. So y'all, I want to be there for you. I want to come alongside you. I want to help create this community. I want you to have a 30-minute clarity coaching call with me where we get to pick out like what is an area that you can be a part of, that you can do the great lock-in between now and the end of the year. I want you to join our book club committee, our book club community, not just for the sake of like listening to the Cliff Notes audio that I send you every single month about our book of the month, or jumping on a Zoom where we're talking together about what's coming up for us as we're reading the book, but where you're a part of that community, where we're talking about our great lock-in goals and where we're making decisions to be the best version of ourselves, for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our family, for the sake of the people around us, and just literally for the sake of knowing that, God created us to be so much more than what we're being right now. And if you are looking for that, if you're looking for community and you're looking for accountability, like, y'all, here we are. Like, I'm telling you right now, I am inviting you in to be a part of that. Inside of our book club community, we are creating ongoing tools to really help you grab a hold of this great lock-in and be the best version of yourselves. We're creating trackers. We've got the 8 areas of alignment sheet in there where you can break down the metrics. I give you an example where mine is filled in. We're giving you tools to help you stay focused. We're giving you the new truth statement, the format that I use with a lot of my clients, where you have to write a new truth statement because things are going to start popping up, that maybe you don't feel like it's safe to succeed. Maybe you don't feel like it's safe to be seen. Maybe you feel like you never finish what you start, right? All of these different things. We're going to help you rewrite that new truth statement inside of this interactive community. And so again, I want to invite you, come along, join us, be a part of this. And if you don't, just call your best friend, shoot your best friend a text today and say, girl, I want you to listen to this. Listen to this great lock-in. Like, let's make a decision that we want to be a part of the great lock-in, that it's not going to be hard, but that we're committed to 120 days of creating more clarity, more confidence, and being able to celebrate everything that we stepped into at the end of the year. And y'all, anybody can do anything for 120 days. And so this is just about alignment. It's about stepping into the most aligned version of yourself. So when you get to January 1st, 2026, you get to set even greater goals than the best version of you today can even imagine, because you can't even fathom who you're going to become over the next 120 days. So thank you for listening. Thank you for even considering being a part of this great lock-in movement where we lock in, we put our blinders on, we make the decision that we're going to give ourselves grace, we're going to have awareness for what's coming up, but we're committed to growth and doing the hard things and doing whatever it takes and knowing that we're going to mess up, but committing to keeping going no matter what happens. So I hope I get to see you inside of our community, where we're going to be coming together for some accountability with our great lock-in. Again, thank you for listening, and I will talk to y'all next time.
Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.